together with Earle Sports Bets. Yeah, the twins, they be checking in, stacking up. Green is the scene that you're stepping in. Winning is a trend, and we stay making dollars. Nerd talk with the sports bet scholars. Yeah, it's R.I.P. to the bookies. R.I.P. to the bookies. R.I.P. to the bookies. R.I.P. to the bookies.
We are live. Welcome back to another edition of the Earle Sports Bet Show. My name is Nicholas Earle. Just me today as we have a full card in the NHL. 15 games. We have the start of the divisional round in the NFL. We have the Chiefs and the Texans. We have the Lions and the Commanders. So we got a couple football games as well. And we get 6 games in the NBA, which we'll start with the NBA. Then we'll go to the NFL. Then we'll go to the NHL like we usually do. But first we'll recap yesterday. Light card and pretty solid one, though. NHL only had one play. The Vegas Golden Knights kind of did let us down a little bit there. Plus 140. They ended up losing to the Carolina Hurricanes 3-2. So it is what it is. But a 3-1 day in the NBA, definitely won't complain about that. So the Celtics team total over 113.5 was a winner. Could have played the first quarter spread, full game, or first quarter, first half. You could have trifected the Celtics and been just fine because they dominated that one 121-94. The Denver Nuggets, talk about another dominating game. They take care of the Miami Heat 133-113. So very solid spot there that I know both Tim and I liked with Denver there. My only loss in the NBA yesterday was the San Antonio Spurs. And, of course, they went from plus 2.5 when we got them all the way to minus 1.5, and they lost by 28 points. That was fun. So that was my only loser. And the Brooklyn Nets almost pulled off the money line win last night, but we got the plus 11.5 for that game. I didn't have any money line. We did on the site, though. So winner with those Brooklyn Nets last night against the Los Angeles Lakers, who made a little bit of comeback there in the end. Just came up 1 point short there, 102-101. The Lakers win that game there. But overall, up 0.95 units. We'll never complain with a profitable day. And then we will get into today's card. No chat, so we'll get right into the association. We have some NBA action. Let me get up the NBA for line history. Let me switch over from college football, looking at that Notre Dame game for Monday. That'll be a fun one there, but got to switch over to NBA because we're capping the NBA card. If my computer wants to load at all today, that'd be cool. We're kicking it on off with the Phoenix Suns, though. They're taking on the Detroit Pistons. The Suns are 2-point road favorites. We have a total of 226.5 in this game. We are at Arena, the Pizza Box in Detroit, Michigan for this one here. The Pistons actually have the better record coming into this game. Who would have thought? That would have been the case heading into this game this late into the season. They're 21-20, 21-19 1 ATS, 22-19 over under, 10-10 at home. Phoenix Suns 20-20 this year, 13-26 1 ATS. So they're not a team that's been covering particularly well this year. They are 19-2 over under, and they are 7-12 on the road. So this is a Phoenix Suns team that does struggle away from Phoenix. It's not opened up at a 3, immediately went to a 1.5. So the opening line really was a 1.5, and now it's a 2. So we have a slight move towards the Phoenix Suns. Line opened up at a 229. It's now a 226.5. So we can move towards the under here as well. 78% of tickets, 72% of cash is on the Suns. That makes sense why the line's moving towards them. 92% of tickets, 91% of cash on the over in this one as well. Ultimately, not a game I'm personally getting involved with here. We have the Detroit Pistons coming in off of a 111-100 loss against the Indiana Pacers. On the flip side, we have the Phoenix Suns that are coming in off of a win, but a no cover. They've won 4 of their last 5 games, but they're 1-3 1 ATS. They beat the Washington Wizards 130 to 123. So a very unconvincing win there for them. So overall, not a game I'm getting involved with. I would lean, the more and more I look at, probably lean with Phoenix, but not a game I'm any interested in this one. Yeah. Damn it, only one twin today. Fuck it, my morning, my man. What's good, Markel? We'll move on though. We have the Boston Celtics on the second half of a back-to-back here after they played last night, and I cashed with their team total over yesterday. They're 11-point favorites in this game with a total of 235 in this one. Let's take a look at the line history here. Boston, Atlanta. Line opened up in an 11, it's down to a 10. So we do have a move towards Atlanta in this spot. Line opened up at a 235. It's now a 235.5. So a move towards the over here as well. Taking a look at the cash flow, we do have 48% of tickets and 56% of cash is on the Celtics. So the sharp money coming in on the Celtics. And this line really not moving too much. 81% of tickets, 73% of cash is on the over here as well. Second half of back-to-back, I like that the line's at least moving towards Atlanta. I think Atlanta would be my lean in this game if I'm getting involved with it. There's 15 hockey games. I'm not going to force action in the association. That's just something I won't do, especially with football on today as well. I don't feel the need to bet every game or bet NBA just to bet the NBA. This would be if we're out here just giving picks and not bets. I would take the Hawks at +10 over on Fanatics at -110. Or it's 10.5 over on Bovada -120. That would be my lean in this game. Would be Hawks plus the points. Do I feel the utmost enthusiasm or the utmost need to go ahead and bet the Hawks in this game? Not particularly. So it is Hawks or nothing if I am betting this game, but another game I'm just not interested in. What's good, ISX? We'll get into hockey, and we'll get into hockey in a little bit. Here we got 4 more NBA games and then 2 more NFL games, and then we'll get into the pucks there. We have the Philadelphia 76ers and the Indiana Pacers. 9.5-point favorites are the Pacers, total of 223 in this game. Line opened up at a 7.5. It's now a 9.5 for Indiana. So we have a nice movement towards these Indiana Pacers. Line opened up at a 225. It's down to a 224. Taking a look at the cash flow here in this one, we have 71% of tickets, 75% of cash is on said Pacers, which explains why the line is moving towards the Pacers in this one here. And then we have 90% of tickets and 88% of cash on the over in this one. The line is moving towards the over. Another game, just this card does not look extremely appealing to me. And maybe there's a spot later in the card that we can look at or something along those lines. But, this is just an ugly card that I'm really not trying to force action in. And this is another game that I don't want action in. I don't know if I'm laying. I guess if I'm playing, I'm laying. But I feel like you've missed your line with Indiana. And I guess it's an over spot here if I'm looking to bet anything. But not going to force action for me in this one. So, yeah. On the road today, solid NCAA pick for tonight. Let's take a look at the spreadsheet real quick, see if I can find you let's see what our top-rated play is. Our top-rated play would be, or is this? Nope, this was 2 days ago. I was going to say Southern Indiana, but nope, that's a couple days ago. Is really that our top play? Our top play is Auburn. Auburn over Georgia. I guess the card speaks for itself. Yeah. But hey, the top rated play according to our spreadsheet for college basketball today is Georgia. Auburn. Auburn over Georgia. Auburn over Georgia. All right. We'll move on to the next game here. We have the Golden State Warriors laying 2 touchdowns against the Washington Wizards. We have total 229 in this one here. Let's take a look at the cash flow in this spot here where this line, or the line history, opened up at a 13.5, got up to a 14, went back to a 13.5, back up to a 14, back to a 13.5. It's bounced back and forth. Line opened up 231. It's now a 229 in this one here. We have 52% of tickets and 54% of cash is on the Wizards. The lines bounce back and forth between 13.5 and 14. And it's back to the 13.5 number. And we have 84% of tickets and 85% of cash is on the over in this one here. My question is, who the hell is laying this many points on the Golden State Warriors? And I get it. The Wizards are terrible. We all know that. They're 6-33. They're 15-23 and 1 ATS. They're 1-15 on the road, but is this a Golden State Warriors team you could trust to lay all these points? They are coming in off of a nice win. It's their first game back after a 4-game road trip. But they did have a couple days off. They were in Detroit, Indiana, Toronto, and Minnesota before heading back to Golden State. Tough spot. Dog or pass, and I haven't bet the Wizards at all this year. But Washington, they've covered in back-to-back games. Now they're still losing games, but they're covering. They lost by 7 to Phoenix. They lost by 14 to Minnesota, but they were 11 and 14.5-point dogs in those games. So we have a Washington team that's starting to cover a little bit better. I want to see if can I still get a 14 in this one here, because I just don't trust the Golden State Warriors. That's the pretty simple case here for that. 13.5 minus 110. Do I really want to move on the Wizards, though? A team I haven't bet all year, and I don't think I want the Wizards ever. So I'm sorry I'm keep passing on these cards. I don't know if I'm going to have any action in the NBA today. Like, these are just wide spreads that just don't appeal to me whatsoever. So, yeah. Minus 2.5 thoughts, Kentucky. Cupcake. Let's see what we got for Kentucky in this one here. Kentucky. That's Eastern Kentucky. That's Western Kentucky. That's regular Kentucky. We have this game at Kentucky minus 1.5. So it would be slightly towards Bama, getting 2.5, but we're not pulling the trigger. Possibly a lot of over 5.5 in the NHL this evening. I suspect probably a decent amount, but we'll move on. 2 games remaining in the NBA, where we have the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Line opened up at a 6. It's now a 7.5. So we do a move towards these Cleveland Cavaliers. Line opened up 226.5. It's now 227. So a slight move towards the over here as well. 84% of tickets, 68% of cash on the over. 53% of tickets, 53% of cash on the Cavaliers. And the line's at least moving towards them for those who want to back them. I mean, they're not overly public either, and the line's moving pretty swiftly towards them, actually, which makes them kind of appealing. Cleveland coming in off of, I believe, a bad loss as well, right? Or did they play a game after that one? Oh, no, they're coming in off of a 21-point loss. I think I found my first play on the NBA card today. They're coming in off of losing to the Oklahoma City Thunder, 134 to 114, a 20-point loss. I expect a bounce-back game here for these Cleveland Cavaliers. And we have a Minnesota Timberwolves team on a second half of a back-to-back, a third game in 4 nights off of a very satisfying win on the road at MSG, playing the Knicks. Yeah, no, this is a Cleveland Cavaliers spot if I've ever seen one here. And I will be taking Cleveland here, minus 7, minus 110 over on Fanatics. I think this is a good bounce-back spot for the Cavaliers. So we'll go ahead and we'll jump on Cleveland here in this spot. Cleveland minus 7, minus 110. There we go. We finally got action for those who want. Yeah. Give me Cavs. Yes. Give me the Cavs. SMU only minus 5 only to Miami. We suck SMU all day. Let's take a look at what SMU. I have that game at a 5.5. 5.7 would be my official power ranking for that game. So, yeah, I agree with the line movement. Not the line movement. I agree with the line in that game. That's exactly where the line should be. It's that 5.5 number for that one. So not enough for me to get involved. And then thoughts on St. Bonaventure and Radford. Big college basketball card. So let's Radford. I have as a 5-point favorite, and Bonaventure, the Bonnies. I have the Bonnies as a 2.5-point favorite. That would be where I would stand with those. We'll move on. I believe this is the last game on the NBA card. It is. We have the Houston Rockets taking on the Portland Trailblazers. The Houston Rockets are 11-point favorites in this game. Total of 223.5. Let's take a look at the line history. Here we have the Rockets opening up at a 9. It's now 11.5. So we do have a 2.5-point line moving here towards Houston. And this line opened up at a 225. It's now 223.5. So we have a move towards the under here as well. Let's take a look at the cash flow where we have 72% of tickets, 68% of cash on the Rockets. Line's at least moving towards them. 80% of tickets, 74% of cash is on the over here as well. I'm going to end my NBA card and with only one play on today's card, and that'll be Cleveland -7. I have no interest in this game whatsoever. I don't want to lay this type of points on the road with the Houston Rockets, but I think the Rockets are the right side. So this would be Rockets or nothing. If I'm playing, I'm laying, but I think there's better spots out there if you're looking to get involved with some action today, which will include probably the next couple games we'll talk about. But yeah, no play for me here in this game. It is Rockets or nothing, if anything. But no play here for this one, which will lead us in from the hardwood to the gridiron. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans. We have the Chiefs 9-point favorites in this game, total of 41.5. Now I've moved on all 4 games already. And this is the only game I did not bet a side in. Because if I would bet a side, it would be the Houston Texans. That would be the only way I would look in this game probably. Let's take a look at the line history in this one here. We are starting to see some 9s. This game opened up at an 8, it's now a 9. So we do have a move towards Kansas City. Line opened up at a 42. It's now a 41.5. So we'll move towards the under here as well. Let's take a look at the cash flow in this game here, where we have 55% of tickets, 51% of cash on the Chiefs. The line is at least moving towards the Chiefs for those interested. 79% of tickets, 70% of cash on the over. The line is moving toward them. And I'm on the under. I got the 41.5 in this game. And that's one thing we got. One thing is we got to keep in mind this Kansas City team is I think, kind of underrated defensively, and so is this Houston Texans team. This is a Houston Texans team that defensively has held teams to 20 or fewer points in 4 of their last 6 games. They've been a solid under team, generally more at home than they have been on the road. But I see this as one of those grinded out type of games. I put out predictions. I joking around, I said, all right, here's the script for this weekend. And the score I have for this game here is 20-17 Chiefs. So yeah, I said Chiefs beat the Texans 20-17. Lions beat the Commanders 38-10. Eagles beat the Rams 21-10. Ravens beat the Bills 28-23. Notre Dame beats Ohio State 17-13. That's for the next 3 days of football. And yeah, I like this game under, and I would lean Texans or nothing. It would be my lean in this game. If I am betting a side in this game, I'd be taking the points. Which does that mean maybe Chiefs team total under? I think that could be an interesting look here as well. I like the under more than anything. I think that if I would back the Texans, it would be via a Chiefs team total under rather than a Texans plus 8.5. Because I can see this game being 24-10 maybe if the Chiefs do break out the way that potentially they could in this one here. Their team total is a 25.5 minus 105 over on FanDuel for the under. I would lean Chiefs team total under for this game, but I'm on the under 41.5. That is what I'm on for this one. Check out ECU 5-hole goal after the show. Okay. I don't know what that is, but okay. But we'll move on from one of the playoff games to the other. This one I really like this spot here. We have the Detroit Lions taking on the Washington Commanders. The Lions 8.5 to 9.5 point favorites, total 55.5. I got this a couple days ago at 8.5 minus 112 over on DraftKings. DraftKings was hanging a 8.5 when other books were hanging 9.5. I don't believe that is still the case. It is. Oh, it's still 8.5 over on DraftKings, 9.5 everywhere else. So if you like the Lions, bet them on DraftKings. And use the link down below if you don't have a DraftKings account to sign up expert. And Tim and I get a little bit kickback for those who sign up through sign up expert there in the link description down below. Line open up Bet Online at an 8.5 and is showing a 9.5 for these Detroit Lions. Line open up at a 56. It's down to a 55.5. This is a game I kind of wanted to double up on with the Lions in this one here. I'm on the Lions minus 8.5, minus 112. I like this. I really like this Lions team. And this is my Super Bowl pick, obviously. I think this is a humbling game for the Washington Commanders. I think this is one of those where they come into Detroit. Dan Campbell does not take his foot off the pedal like Tampa Bay does last week. And the Lions blow out the Commanders in this game. The Lions are coming in off of a bye, which I believe will help them get healthier on defense, which can help. And I like this game under a little bit as well. 49% of tickets, 71% of cash on the under. The Lions moving towards the under. So sharp money coming on the under. It's a 50-50 split on the side. 50% of the tickets are on the Lions, 51% of the cash on the Commanders. Lions moving slightly towards the Lions here in this one, here on most books. And for me, I kind of want to add this Commander team total under because I do believe this is a spot where you can see the Lions defense show up in a big way. And you can get 23.5 at minus 112 over on DraftKings. I am going to add that. I am going to add the under 23.5 team total for the Washington Commanders in this game at minus 112. And I know a lot of people are going to – I think a lot of people are potentially sleeping on the Lions defense and remembering what we saw last, which was like them giving up 34 to the Niners or 48 to the Bills or 31 to the Packers. This is a different defense. We saw them limit the Vikings to 9 points in their last game in the biggest game of the year for the Lions to get this one seed and get the bye. So I'm going to add the team total under 23.5 with these Washington Commanders as well. I think this is a game where they shut them down defensively. My only worry with this is potentially this is a 38-17 type of game, and Washington goes down and scores a garbage touchdown to put it over the team total. That would be what my main worry with this would be, that Washington does that and a little backdoor at the end when they're getting blown out and Detroit's playing prevent defense or something along those lines would be my main worry. But I'm on the Lions minus 8.5 in this game. They're still holding 8.5 on DraftKings when it's 9.5 everywhere else. And then also on DraftKings, the Commanders team total under 23.5 at minus 112. Really no chat today, so we'll make the transition then from the gridiron to the ice. We have 15 games in the NHL, so let's get right into it. The Philadelphia Flyers are taking on the New Jersey Devils. The Devils are now anywhere between minus 195 and minus 205 favorites in this game with a total of 6. My projections for this game actually have this game much closer projected wise. I don't think the Flyers should be this big of dogs in this game. I think this is a little bit of an overprice on the Devils a little bit, even though this is a team I'm very high on. But I mean, at the same time, their advanced metrics have really slowed down as of late. Does not mean I'm giving up on this Devils team. It's just right now they're not as bet on as they were when I put in their cup ticket. This is a 12:30 game. I don't really like to mess with these early games often unless I have a really good reason to. My lean would be an over in this game. I just still don't trust the Flyers defensively, and I do have this game projected for 6.26 goals. And there is a 5.5 over on DraftKings at minus 125 for those who are interested there. We are starting to see some 6s out there. We're seeing 6 at plus 105 at Caesars, 6 at even money over on Bet365, and FanDuel is a 6 at minus 108. BetMGM even money at the 6. For me, if I'm getting involved with this game, it would be the over 5.5 minus 125 on DraftKings. I don't think I'm getting involved in the early game though. It would be over nothing. Last time these two teams played was on April the 13th last year, and it was a 1-0 win for the Flyers. So ultimately not a game I'm going to get involved with early here but it would be over 5.5 or nada for me. We'll continue on. The Ottawa Senators and the Boston Bruins -135 for the Senators, total of 5.5. Kind of surprising to see the Senators as this big of favorites, but when you look at the way the Boston Bruins have been playing, this is a Bruins team that I would really like to fade, and I think this is a Bruins team that fading them over the long term, I think is going to be a pretty strong strategy. My numbers for this game have Ottawa around -170. So seeing them at -135, I think is actually not a bad number for them here in this one. And I have this game projected for 6.42 goals. This is an over 5.5, by the way. The Ottawa Senators are coming off that 1-0 loss to the Washington Capitals. So we have that angle that we like to use, the team coming in off the shutout loss. So over 5.5 will be a play for me here in this one, as well as the Ottawa Senators -135. I'm getting both these over on ESPN Bet. Ottawa -135 and the over 5.5 at even money. I'm going to go ahead and double up on this game. This is a 3:00 game, so this still is a little bit of an earlier game. A lot of these 5.5s look very appealing to bet the overs, and I have been betting a decent amount of the overs as of late with these 5.5s with actually not terrible success. So overall for that, so yeah, I'm gonna be doubling up here on this game. I'm gonna be on Ottawa. I got -135, and I'm getting the over 5.5 at even money for this one as well. We'll continue on. This one's a fun one, a potential or a matchup we saw in the playoffs last year. The Dallas Stars are heading to Denver to take on the Colorado Avalanche. In this one here, the Avalanche -130 favorites with a total of 6 in this one. Now, we do have the Avalanche coming in off of an embarrassing loss. Not saying that losing to the Edmonton Oilers is embarrassing, but the way they lost to said Edmonton Oilers was not the way they wanted to. They were up 3-0 on Edmonton and lost that game in regulation, which was not what you wanted to do if you're Colorado, especially when Edmonton was in a bad spot that game. There was the second half of a back-to-back for the Edmonton Oilers in that game. Situationally, it was an awesome Avalanche spot. And for this game, I actually do have the Stars projected closer towards a favorite in this game, and I would look Stars in this matchup if I'm getting involved with anything in this one. It's an Avalanche team that I still need to see a little bit more from. And actually, the Stars team, though, just grades out unbelievably well. 3.65 expected goals for, 2.56 against. So this is a Dallas team that their advanced analytics are actually pretty strong. And we're getting them as a dog here in this one. I might actually jump on Dallas in this game in Colorado. The one thing that does worry me a little bit is the Avalanche coming in off of a game where they surrendered a 3-goal lead. So I think ultimately that would be what would keep me off of Dallas in this game. But if I'm betting it, it would be Stars or no bet for me in this game. And as for the total in this one, I have this game projected for 5.84 goals. So I think this line's about correct, the 6 in this one here. Not enough for me to get involved with the total in that one. So it would just be Stars or nothing. And I'm honestly really considering Dallas in this one. At a reasonable number. It's just not everything correlated for me to want to fade Colorado like this, coming in off of the game that they're coming in off of. So no play here for me. It would be Dallas or nothing now in this one. We'll keep going. No chat today, really. Been quiet so far. But we have the Florida Panthers. They're -360 favorites in this game against the Anaheim Ducks. Total of 6 in this one. Just a monstrous number for a Florida Panthers team that really hasn't been playing that well as of late. Now they're coming in off of a 5-2 loss in their last game against the Detroit Red Wings, which the Red Wings are playing some really good hockey right now. But it's a Florida Panthers team that is struggling a little bit as of late. They did beat the New Jersey Devils in their previous game before that. But this is a Florida team that's not been playing the greatest of hockey as of late. And it's a spot where I'm obviously – it's Ducks or nothing. I'm not backing the Panthers at this number because it's just a little bit ridiculous, -360 money line. You'll never catch me laying anything like that. If you want to back this team and not lay a stupid amount of juice, you're laying 2 or 2.5. So this is a game where I mean, I'm not laying that type of number, minus 400. But on the flip side, are the Anaheim Ducks a team I really want to back right now? And the answer is really no. I believe this is the last game of a road trip for Anaheim. They're coming in off of that a shootout loss against the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's just been kind of a weird road trip for them where they've lost 5 of their 6 games so far, and they will return home to play these Florida Panthers on the 21st. So both these teams after this game, I believe, are heading to Anaheim. As the Florida Panthers, they're heading on their California road trip after this. But we have a Ducks team. This is the last game of a 6-game road trip, so I see this is not a great situation for Anaheim as well. So another game where I just don't really have too much interest in it. I have this game projected for 6.4 goals, so I guess if anything, over 6 or nothing. But another game I am good. I'm not going to force action on a 15-game card. What about the under 6.5? I mean, no. For this game, I see this. I see the 6, and the 6.5 would be a no bet. Panthers smash or nothing. I would love to know how you plan on betting the Panthers at a reasonable number, because I'm seeing minus 150s for their puck line, and you'll never see me laying minus 150 on a puck line. That's just never going to happen. So we'll move on though to the next one. This is probably one I'll get involved with, because we have the Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the red-hot Montreal Canadiens. How fun has this Montreal team been this year? They're a young team, and I know they're playing above their head right now. This team is 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. They're in a playoff spot right now, and they're currently – actually, no, they're not in a playoff spot. They're 6th in the Atlantic, but I think they're like a point out of the playoffs for a team that was supposed to be, last in the NHL or last in the Eastern Conference this year. They're currently a point behind the Bruins with 2 games in hand, tied with the Ottawa Senators, and 2 points ahead of Detroit. So this is a Montreal team that is playing really, really well right now. And they're taking on Toronto, who are coming in off of an overtime win against New Jersey that snapped a 3-game losing streak for them against Dallas, Vancouver, and Carolina. And on the flip side, we have Montreal, which has been a darling for a lot of hockey bettors as of late. More as a road dog than a home dog, because they've actually, during this winning streak, during the 8-1-1 run here in the last 10 games, only 2 of them have been at home, and they're 1-0-1 in those games. So they had the overtime win against Vancouver. They had the shootout loss against Dallas. All these other games, they were plus 260 dogs against Florida on the road. They were plus 175 dogs against Tampa on the road. They're 190 dogs against Vegas on the road. They were 280 dogs against Colorado on the road. They were plus 185 dogs against Washington on the road, plus 130 in Utah, plus 190 in Dallas. They've been an awesome dog, and until proven otherwise, I don't know how we're not on the Montreal Canadiens in this game at plus 120. I'm seeing prices there. Now it's not the 190s and the 185s and the 200s we've been cashing with this Montreal Canadiens team, but on the same side, this is a Canadiens team that is you bet on the Montreal Canadiens or you don't bet their games right now. I think they could be favored in this game. My numbers have them as a slight favorite as of late for using recent form. So yeah, I'm going to be on Les Habitants. They give me plus 120 here on Bet365. I'm going to be on Montreal in this game. This is a Canadiens team that I want to bet on right now rather than bet against. And Toronto is a team that is still one of those spots where it's Toronto on the road. So obviously the Toronto is the better team. They should win this game, but the way Montreal is playing right now, I'll take a stab at plus 120. What's good at IceX? Draw and the Ducks. Both. The Ducks are definitely worth a shot if you like plus 300 underdogs. I mean, I won't talk you off. Friends don't talk friends off of dogs, so I won't talk you off of dogs there. Leafs puck line. There's always got to be someone to come in and ruin the fun. Yes, IceX. I'm not surprised you would do that though. What about the under 5.5? once again, it's a 6. And I would have where would I have this game projected for 6.06 goals. I think that line's correct at a 6. I don't know why you keep asking about totals that are half goals off from the consensus that I see. So I get it, but yeah, I get for me, if it was a 5.5, yeah, I'd be interested in the over. But seeing that it is a 6, I'm not. So we'll head to the next one, where we have the Calgary Flames taking on the Winnipeg Jets in this one here. We're seeing the Jets as 210 favorites in this game with a total of 5.5. Calgary is a team that we faded them last game. We took the Blues -1 in their previous game there. And Winnipeg's been a tricky team for me this year. They got off to that awesome start. We all knew that. They kind of slowed down, but then they really didn't. And right now, their advanced metrics are awesome. I have this game projected at Jets -190 range. So I do think this is a correct line for this one here. I have this game projected for 6.10 goals. I just don't know if I trust Calgary to really put up goals in this game. As I do believe Calgary kind of regresses here. If there's anybody in the Western Conference currently in a playoff spot that I could see fall out, it would be Calgary. They're coming in off of back-to-back losses against the St. Louis Blues where they put up 1 goal each. So this is a team that I don't trust really to put up goals, and they're stepping up in their competition because Winnipeg, the last 2 games, they have given up as many goals as the Flames have scored, 1 each. So I could I could see the Winnipeg Jets shutting down Calgary defensively in this game to where I don't want the over 5.5, but that would be my lean in this game would be over 5.5. But I don't trust them enough. Maybe then that's Jets team total over, if anything, but no play here for me. Flames money line. I mean, yeah, I think regression is coming for this Calgary Flames team, but I could be wrong. We'll move on to a game where can both teams lose. We had the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the Washington Capitals. And with this matchup, we all know what the narratives is going to be. Oh, it's Sidney Crosby versus Alex Ovechkin for the 487th time. Like, okay. We've seen these narratives plenty of times before. I have this game projected closer towards a pick'em. I have not bet the Pittsburgh Penguins yet this year at all. I have no interest in the Pittsburgh Penguins at all this year. It would be Pittsburgh or nothing for me in this game, just looking at the way the line is. And at a 6, we're starting to see some more 6s out there. We're seeing 5.5s juice towards the over 6s. I want the over in this game. If I can get a 5.5, -125, -130 range, I'm going to take the over in this game. We do have this is the second half of a back-to-back for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And on the flip side, we have Washington coming in off of a 1-0 game. They've actually recorded shutouts in back-to-back games. The Washington Capitals, 3-0 win over the Ducks, 1-0 win over the Sens. So this is a Caps team that's playing some really strong defense. But when these two teams play, we generally see goals. It feels like not the last matchup did go over 5.5, but it went under 6.5, which was the line for the game. But generally speaking, we've seen a decent amount of their games feature goals between the Washington Capitals and the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm going to take over 5.5 here at -130. I have this game projected at 6.4 goals, so I thought this line should be at least a 6. So at the -130 price tag is still, I mean, for a total, I guess that's a little juicy. But with that being said, I will take the over 5.5 here at -130 Pittsburgh and Washington. We'll keep it going. 1, 2, 3, 8 games remaining on the card. The New York Rangers and the Columbus Blue Jackets. We get the Blue Jackets and the Blue Shirts. -175 for the New York Rangers. Total of 6 in this game. The Blue Jackets have been a fun little story this year because they've actually not been completely terrible, which they had the ultimate excuse to be bad this year. And they just, I mean, they've come together and they've played pretty well. better than what most of us were expecting. They've been much better in Columbus than they have been away from it, though. That's one thing to keep in mind. But this is also a New York Rangers team where I don't really trust them as this big of favorites. My numbers have the Rangers as a favorite in this game, but something along the lines of 125 range. This would be Columbus or nothing if I'm looking to get involved in this game. We have the New York Rangers coming back after a West Coast road trip as well, where they were in, I believe, Colorado, Vegas, and Utah. They did win their last game against Utah, so the feeling probably a little bit better there. With that 5-3 win over the hockey club. They lost in overtime against Colorado. They beat the Vegas Golden Knights 2-1. So they are starting to play better now, the New York Rangers. They've won 3 of their last 4 games. They've won 4 of their last 6, received points in all of their last 6 games. Their only 2 losses were an overtime loss against the Stars and an overtime loss against the Avalanche, where there are only 2 losses in the last 6 games for them. Columbus they are 6-12-3 on the road. They're coming in playing some awesome hockey right now. Those 6 wins in a row against St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Seattle, St. Louis, Philadelphia, San Jose. So maybe not the greatest of competition when you consider probably the Blues are the best of those two, best of all those teams. But Columbus, I want to back them as big dogs, and this is another spot where I want them as a big dog in this game. And I'm seeing plus 170 over on BetMGM. I'm going to take a shot with CBJ in this game. Give me the Jackets plus the 170 against the New York Rangers. And we've seen the Jackets play the Rangers super close before, so I'll take a shot here. Give me the Columbus Blue Jackets at plus 170. CBJ Rangers draw. Yeah. We have seen these two teams play some pretty close games before, so yeah, I can see the draw in that one there as well. We'll move on where we have 7 games remaining. We got the Detroit Red Wings taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. We cashed with the Red Wings in their last game against the Florida Panthers. They were plus 200 dogs, and they got the job done. This has actually been an interesting matchup because head-to-head, because as good as the Tampa Bay Lightning have been over the last few years, how about this? Detroit's won 3 in a row and 6 of their last 8 against this Tampa Bay Lightning team. Detroit's played really well since their head coach firing. They've won 8 of their last 9 games. The only loss was a 6-3 loss to the San Jose Sharks of all teams. On the flip side, we have Tampa. They're coming in off of a win, but they were minus 300 favorites, and they went to a shootout against the Ducks. So that was kind of interesting there. That was following a 6-2 loss against the Boston Bruins in their previous game there. I mean, I get it. The Red Wings probably are appealing in this game at this big number. And my numbers have the Lightning around minus 130. So, I'll take another shot on a big dog here. And when the Red Wings have been winning as dogs the way they have, I'm viewing them very similar to what we've seen with the Canadiens as of late. They've been winning as dogs as well. Over on FanDuel, plus 180. Give me a little Red Wings action here as well today. So plus 180. The Detroit Red Wings here against the Tampa Bay Lightning. We will move on to the next matchup here, seeing that we have no chat. Oh boy, the New York Islanders are taking on the San Jose Sharks. So what embarrassing thing are the Islanders going to do today is the ultimate question. The Islanders are minus 215 favorites, which I've seen this song and dance so many times. They're going to be monster favorites, and they're going to lose in overtime. Total of 5.5 in this game. I believe it's going to be Magnus Hagberg in net for the Islanders. Sorokin's kind of struggled a little bit as of late. And we have a Sharks team that, I do have the Islanders as a favorite in this game, but they're minus 2. I have them at around minus 170. And I have this game projected for 5.96 goals. I really have no interest in this one at all. If anything, sometimes you got to go swimming with the Sharks. I would look towards the Sharks at a big dog price here in this game. The Islanders should not be laying any type of number like this whatsoever. I would not be surprised if this could potentially be the game like we saw last year, where the Islanders lost to the Blackhawks last year as pretty decent favorites, and then they fired Lou Lambert. Honestly, would not surprise me if they lost this game to the Sharks and Patrick Waugh is out as the head coach of the New York Islanders. So we'll see for this matchup. No interest whatsoever. It'd be Sharks or nothing, over or nothing. Nothing I'll go for me in this one. Under 6.5 for the Isles. I mean, maybe. Sharks, Isles draw. Yeah, it's the Drawlanders. So yeah, I or the Thailanders. I would not be surprised to see. I would not be surprised to see it go to overtime, especially because they love playing down to lesser competition. We'll move on. We have the Minnesota Wild taking on the Nashville Predators. We had the Preds minus 145 favorites in this game with a total of 6 in this one. And I mentioned a couple shows ago talking about this Nashville Predators team, saying I think there will be spots to back them here going forward because their advanced metrics are actually pretty solid as of late. And I think this is a spot where potentially we can back them. And we have the Minnesota Wild coming into this game not playing good hockey whatsoever. And are not playing bad hockey, but like they're injured. They're missing their top 3 defensemen right now. I believe Kaprizov might be back for this game, which would make me like Nashville even more. This line is moving towards Nashville. It was minus 145 when I typed it up this morning. Now we're seeing minus 170, minus 175 range. And I 100% agree with the line movement in this game. I also have this game projected for 6.5 goals for what it's worth. And we have Nashville coming in off back-to-back wins. They beat the Vegas Golden Knights 5-3. They followed it up with a 3-2 shootout win against the Chicago Blackhawks in their game after that. The Wild have struggled as of late, and they have given up at least 4 goals in 4 of their last 5 games. The only one they didn't was a 3-1 win over the San Jose Sharks. So this is a Wild team that is giving up goals right now, and this is a Nashville Predators team that I think could potentially take advantage of that. So I'm going to take a shot here with Nashville on the -1 line. As much as I was somebody who wants to back the Wild, this is not a good Wild team right now with all the injuries they have suffered. So it's minus 165 and it's plus 150. So let's take a look what Nashville -1 would be at these numbers. Minus 165 and plus 150, minus 106. So I'm going to take Nashville -1, minus 106. That'll be over on Fanatics. And I'm also going to take the over 5.5 here at minus 120 in this game as well. I do see the Nashville Predators being able to get to the Wild because the Wild have been giving up goals as of late, especially with all their defensemen out. I do think this is a not the greatest of spots, and as much as I would like the Wild to get back into it, or not get back into it, because they haven't completely tanked. Losing 3 out of 4 is not good though. They're still second in the Central. As much as I want them to get back to winning, because I do have that future on them to win the division. But that being said, I can't back this Wild team right now, missing their top 3 defensemen, with Brodin out, with Faber out, and with Spurgeon out. And also, I believe Ryan Hartman's out now too. Now, granted, they're probably getting Kaprizov back, which I mentioned would actually increase my opinion on the Predators a little bit more, because I like when a team, I like fading a team when they get their star player back. So if Kaprizov is returning this game, that would actually make me like Nashville even more. But yeah, for me, Nashville -1, minus 106, and the full game over 5.5, minus 120 for this one for me. Let's head back to the chat. We do have 2 chats. Preds puck line. Yeah, I'm on board with that. What about the Preds team total over? Love it. If this was me a couple years ago and I was firing shots as much as I was a few years ago when I was super high volume, this would probably be a game where it'd be Nashville -1, team total over, full game over, triple up spot. Like that would have been something I would have done 2 seasons ago. So, but yeah, no, I would look towards Nashville or that team total over. I like that a lot. I was actually contemplating in my head whether it was going to be Nashville -1 or Nashville team total over. So there is that. 4 games remaining. The Vegas Golden Knights are traveling to Chicago to take on the Blackhawks. Minus 225 favorites we're seeing for the Vegas Golden Knights. Total is 6 in this game. Vegas coming in on a second half of a back-to-back. They did play in Raleigh last night. They lost 3-2 to the Hurricanes there. I do have the Golden Knights as favorites. I have them projected as minus 200 favorites. So I think the line is correct where it is. So there is that. And then I have this game projected for 6.07 goals. I think this is one of the easier passable games on the card. I don't want Vegas on a second half of a back-to-back with travel at minus 200, but I don't really want the Blackhawks either. This Blackhawks team is, I believe, the worst in hockey points-wise this year. Even though I thought they were going to take a step up, they most certainly have not. And I could see something along the lines where this is I think this can be a game where this is a strong road effort for the Vegas Golden Knights. They win this game something along the lines of 3-1, 4-1, and they just move on with their lives, especially coming in off of a loss. Granted, this is a second half of a back-to-back, but if anything, this is a good team to play on a second half of a back-to-back because Chicago is not a team that scares me whatsoever. They've lost 4 in a row, 8 of their last 10. They did force a shootout against Nashville, but this is a much better Vegas Golden Knights team. It would be probably an under for me. I think under 6.5 if available. I think could be an interesting look in that game because I see Vegas shutting down Chicago and seeing a game something along the lines of 3-1, 4-1. And we are seeing 6.5s out there, under 6.5, minus 115. I actually kind of like that a little bit there. I do have this game projected for 6.08 goals. So lean under. We'll see how the early stuff goes, and we'll see. We'll go from there. If we're having a solid day, that might be an under that I would look to add. Nothing at the moment, but it would be under 6.5 or nothing for me there with Vegas and Chicago. What about the under 6.5? Yeah, that would be the only place I would look in that game, would be under 6.5. We have 3 games remaining. The Utah Hockey Club taking on the St. Louis Blues. We have Utah minus 125 favorites in this game, total of 5.5. I have this game projected for 6.317 goals, so I do see value in this over 5.5. And I have this game projected for the St. Louis Blues to be the favorite in this one here. So seeing them as a dog immediately catches my attention. And this could be a very similar game betting-wise to what game was it earlier that I doubled up on a side where I was on the Sens and the over. This could be a very similar spot where I'm on the Blues and the over in this one here. We have St. Louis coming in off of back-to-back wins. They played Calgary, and they won 2-1, 3-1. And we have Utah coming in off 3 straight losses. They lost 5-3 to Montreal and 5-3 to the Rangers. So back-to-back 5-3 losses. They've been giving up goals. I think the Blues can put up some goals in this game here. They're even money, which kind of caught my attention. I don't think the Blues should be the dog in this game. I think the wrong team is favored in this game. And as for the total, with me projecting this at a 6.3, I'm interested in the over a little bit. I'm more interested in the Blues. The 5.5 is minus 125. So I guess that's enough for me to hold off on the over, but I will be on the Blues at plus 105. I like St. Louis in this spot. And I think this is a good opportunity for St. Louis to keep it going. Their advanced metrics are actually pretty good. 3.31 expected goals for, 2.45 against. So this has been a team that's been outplaying their opponent. They've actually won the expected goal battle in 9 of their last 10 games. The only one they lost the expected goal battle was against Columbus, and they lost it by 0.03 goals. So it was a very close competitive game on that one when you look at the advanced metrics there. So the Blues are a team that are bet on for me at the moment. I'll be on the St. Louis Blues at plus 105. Supness. What's good, Lex? What's good, Lex? We'll move on here. The Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks in this one here. We're seeing the Oilers minus 165 road favorites, total of 6 in this game here. The Oilers coming in off of back-to-back wins, a really strong comeback for them in their last game in a really bad spot. Situationally, it was the second half of a back-to-back for them. They were on the road in Colorado, down 3-0 early, and came all the way back. And we have a Canucks team that's really struggled in Vancouver this year. I'd prefer road Canucks rather than home Canucks. And the best part about fading the home Canucks is you get better numbers because teams are generally priced higher at home. They're 7, 9, and 6. 7 and 15 on the money line at home this year. 12, 6, and 4 on the road. This is an Oilers team that has played well against this Canucks team. They've won 4 games in a row, and 8 of their last 9, the Oilers. Their only loss was the 5-3 road loss against the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is Oilers or nothing for me. This is a Canucks team that is collapsing right now, as they have lost now back-to-back games. They lost 5-1 to the Kings, 6-1 to the Jets, following that 3-0 win over Toronto. They lost 2-0 to the Hurricanes, 2-1 to the Capitals, 5-4 to the Canadiens, 3-0 against the Preds. This is a team that has lost 6 of their last 7 games, 8 of their last 10. They're unbackable right now, the Vancouver Canucks, even at home, which actually I want to fade them even more at home than I do on the road. My numbers have this game at -170, so I don't see value on the Oilers here, but I'm definitely not interested in the Canucks. So this would be Oilers or nothing if I'm getting involved in this game, but there's not enough of an edge for me to pull the trigger with the Oilers being as big of a road chalk as they are. So ultimately, no play here for me. It would be Oilers or nothing, but it'll be the nothing variety. And we'll move on to the final matchup here, the Seattle Kraken and the LA Kings. We have the Kings -150 favorites, total 5.5 in this one here. My numbers have this game in a pick'em in this spot with a total of 5.313. So I actually have this game projected as, I believe, the lowest scoring game of the day. So if you guys are looking for maybe if there's a prop out there for the lowest scoring game of the day, probably LA Seattle's the favorite because the 5.5 is -135 juice towards the under, which is interesting there. LA is coming in off of a 5-1 win against Vancouver. It's their last game of a 4-game road trip. They'll head home to play Pittsburgh after this, and then Florida. On the flip side, the Kraken, this is their first game back after a 5-game road trip. So both teams not in the greatest of spots. One on the last game of a road trip, one on the first game of a homestand after a long road trip. 2 spots I'd rather bet against than bet on. It would be Kraken or nothing. So if anything, release the Kraken in this game. But another spot where I'm not getting involved here. Not a huge card for me today. A lot of college basketball action I do have. But I think at the end of the day, I have one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, I have 7, 8. Actually, I have 8, 9 plays in the NHL today, so I'm fine. There, I got plenty of action in the NHL. But yeah, that is everything for today's card. If you guys have not already, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you guys have not already. Turn on post notifications so you guys are notified each and every time we are live here at Earle Sports Bets, which is every single morning, anywhere between 10 and 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But that's going to do it for this one. I want to thank you guys, as always, for watching. And we'll catch you guys same time, same place tomorrow for another edition of the Earle Sports Bets Show. Good luck, everyone. Got to find the outro. There we go.